It's the Standard Pauper Show. It's a show about Standard Pauper. And welcome to the Standard Pauper Show. As you all should be aware of, the Standard Pauper Gauntlet is going on. Round 3 has just finished. That's right. Whole army of decks have entered. Who will survive the longest? Well, let's look at how round 3 ended up. Who is left? Wow. Started off with 25 decks, only 6 remain. Cyclops Combo, Demir Mill, and Loyal Boros, all from Dr. Baker. Then we have Mono Green Aggro, which, no offense to Vault Boy Hunter, who is the special guest today, it shouldn't have made it this far. It's crazy. Anyway, also Mono Red by Vault Boy. The last one is Rakdos Regenerations, which I would like to add is moving on to round 4, and no one has championed it yet. If you're waiting for the last minute, it's here. The clock is about to run out. What happened this week in Standard Pauper? Well, let's look. There's the MPDC 2409. The top 4. Passive Aggressive, played by Scion of Justice. I don't recognize that name. Azorius Aggro by Mundiv. I've seen him quite a bit. Boros Auras by Adner. Ooh. Adner was one of the pioneers of the Demir Mill. And Mono Black Control by a person whose name is a bunch of letters and numbers. Alright, let's look at the winner. Passive Aggressive by Scion of Justice went 5-1. Pretty good. Let's look at the deck. You got 4 Auramancer. Now, I put in 3 Loyal Pegasus and 3 Nyxborn Shieldmate because the PDC Magic website still does not have Born of the Gods cards in it, which, come on guys. You're about to have Journey to Nyx. You're going to have 2 full sets not in your database? That's got to change. Okay, 4 Azorius Arrestor, 4 Daring Skyject, 4 Hopeful Eidolon, 4 Suntail Hawk, that crazy bird, 4 Wingsteed Rider. Then you have the ever popular Ethereal Armor and Pacifism. 22 lands, sideboard of 4 Gods Willing, 3 Prophetic Prism, 3 Scholar of Athreos, which I really like. I don't know how you're going to trigger that ability without any black mana. Interesting. Riot Control, Last Breath, and another Keening Apparition. Okay, let's see how it shapes up. Here's a hand. Starting hand is mono white. You start off with 2 plains, a Loyal Pegasus, a Suntail Hawk, 2 Auramancer, and a Wingsteed Rider. It's pretty good. I think I would probably go ahead and keep it because you're so close. You're running 22 lands, so the odds are you're going to get one soon, and as you can see from the next 6 draws, there's another plains, comes up pretty quick. Here's something interesting. Would you play the Suntail Hawk first or the Pegasus first? Personally, I would play the Hawk because people seem to have it out for the Loyal Pegasus, and they will just keep destroying anything that can trigger its ability to attack and block. So if you put out the Suntail, maybe you can attack on turn 2 and turn 3, unless they decide to kill it, but I don't know, it gives you something to shoot for. That's how I would handle this. So again, you got the Azorius Arrestor, which is a great 2-drop, Smite, Daring, Ethereal Armor, and all of your Auramancers. Now I know that's unlikely to happen, but hey, random is crazy. Your mana curve is a whole lot of 1-drops, 2-drops, and only 8 3 drops. Not bad. Obviously the deck won, so there you go. And now it's on to the set review. Today I got with me a special guest. His name, you might know him as Vault Boy Hunter, but I'm going to call him Sam, because Sam's much easier to say than Vault Boy Hunter. Because I'm probably going to say it like twice. I can't be bothered to say that whole name all the time. Alright, so say hi, Sam.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
I'm Sam. Vault Boy Hunter on MTGO.
There he is. Say hi to all your fans. Yay,
Hello,
fans.
people.
Alright, we're going to start off with white. We're just going to kind of go through these. We're going to talk about the good ones. We figure you'll know a bad card when you see it. And these are the ones you can kind of put maybe a recommendation. This is what we would brew with if we were going to do such a thing. Start off with a Johnny's Presence. It's a Strive card, the Strive mechanic. You pay extra and you can target more of creatures. I don't know of any that target anything other than creatures. But you target them and the effect will go across the multiple targets. In common, I really do not like the Strive cost. I think 2 and a colored mana is way too much. But as a single card, a single casting cost, I kind of think of a Johnny's Presence as a white Ranger's Guile, because it doesn't add a counter or anything, but it does add +1/+1 and makes it indestructible. Now, does that prevent unsummon or effects like that, or even -X/-X? It doesn't, but it's about as close to an instant hexproof or an instant save that you're going to get. So on that regard, I like it. Now, I'm going to go through these, and then Sam will kind of pick up and mention anything that anything specific that he wants to say about them. But Sam, don't be afraid to speak up if you think I'm just full of crap.
Well, I mean, personally, I think a Johnny's Presence is probably the best of the bunch. It's simply the most effective as its own mode. 1 white, indestructible. Kind of acts as those extra God's Willings. I think on some of them, the Strive cost, particularly on a Johnny's Presence, it's basically like paying for 2 Rangers or 2 of the Mortal's Resolves in green. And I like the double target effect because it really is kind of the one color that is really great to have that extra effect. Here, I'm going to pause for a sec.
Okay.
That is a dog with very, very long nails.
I was about to say, is your dog tap dancing?
Yeah, no, it's a hardwood floor and a dog with long nails. But no, it's a good. I think, in particular, that's a really decent effect. And I mean, just as what it is, 1 white, indestructible, +1/+1, great card. It was one of my few top end cards in the set.
Yeah, I do like the single mode. I didn't at first, but actually I was talking to Dan and he kind of brought it to my attention, because I only thought of it as casting it with Strive. I had that stuck in my head. But yeah, as its own, it's not bad.
Nope.
Armament of Nyx. Let's see. I like that it does double duty. It's double strike, which doesn't really add more to a creature unless it actually connects. But on the other side of that, if it's not an enchantment creature, it prevents all damage that would be dealt by it. And I love all double duty enchantments.
And I mean, I completely agree. I like the pseudo-pacifism effect on the one side, the mode of it, and then the other mode, giving the double strike. I mean, basically it's just an incentive to play out pacifism or bestow creatures as their creature, or play any of the enchantment creatures, really. And again, it's in a great color for it. So
yeah, I am pretty sure this will see some play. just due to the fact that you can use it in 2 modes. Lagana Band Trailblazer. Personally, I love this card. I love that it's a 1-drop. It stops early aggression. It's going to grow just like your Sky Guard. And being a 1-drop 0/4, I do not see the O as a detriment to this card.
My kind of counter to that is, okay, 0/4 for 1. To get it into the range where you're going to want to attack with it, 3 power, right? Safely, typically. That's going to be 3 cards. That's a lot of commitment onto 1 card, especially with decks like Demiri Mill running Devouring Flesh running around. So I think it makes it a little bit less good. I also think the red 1-drop with Heroic is going to fight it for a spot in a deck, in a red-white deck, and I don't know if it wins just having the weaker power starting out.
Oh yeah, I see your point. All right, 2 different opinions on that card. I like it. And
I like it. I mean,
he likes it.
I like it. I don't know where. I think it's going to fit more in like a white-black slow deck and not a red-white.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Orazov, if you will.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next one. Oppressive Raise. I like this card because, as many people have suggested, it's basically, what do you get if you want to make pacifism cost 1 mana? I think this is it. I think this may actually see more play in Classic than even in Standard, but I think a 1 mana early answer is pretty good. I don't know that in Common the activated ability is going to be as much, except for Monstrous. Because making already expensive Monstrous costs even more expensive kind of puts them at a severe detriment to even use.
It affects activated costs?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wait a sec, I'm going to look it up.
It says activated abilities of enchanted creature cost 3 more to activate.
That is bonks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good in pretty much every format.
I know. This is good. My dream scenario is playing like I'm playing a White Weenie in Classic, and then I'm playing against Delver, and they do turn 1 Delver, go, and I'm like, oh yeah, turn 1 Oppressive Raise. I get to do whatever I want for the next 3 turns. Well, not whatever, but
I mean, that's quite good, and I mean, against a lot of decks, they're just not going to do anything.
I know.
They don't have interaction for that on the first turn. I mean, that's why I put in my little write-up about it being not Path to Exile level, but, you know, not that far off for our particular format. So,
yeah,
I like it.
I do too. It's fighting for the #1 slot in my head for this set.
It's in my top 6.
Awesome.
Top 6.
Yay, top 6. All right, now we're on to Supply Line Cranes. I like it. It is 5 and 2 white for a 2/4, but you can put a counter. And putting a counter on it makes it a 3/5, which a flying 3/5, pretty darn good. I'm willing to pay that. And the ability to put a counter on something else, if you need to, let's say something just seems better off to have it, like an unblockable creature or something to that effect, I like it.
Oh, I think it's solid. Probably, like, on my B scale, it's probably my top B card. Because, I mean, 3/5 flying gets the job done in a lot of different decks. I mean, I could see that going into, like, a Esper style deck where you're keeping the board clear and that's your finisher. I mean, it's really got that kind of potential. So.
No, I agree. This makes me want to put it in something. Not sure what yet, but it'll go somewhere.
Right here, 1 sec. Okay, I think we're good. Okay.
You got that tap dancing dog.
Yeah, this is a different dog, shorter nails.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so now we're going to move over to blue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so aerial formation. This is the blue Strive card. And I think it's the second weakest out of the 5. Simply because blue, it grants flying and +1 and +1, and blue already has flying.
Right.
But in combination with, if Simic's going to work, this is going to be the card to get it there. Because that ability to grant big, beefy guys flying is really good. It could work in Cyclops, a Cyclops-based deck, because it targets 2 Cyclopses for 4. Both of them are flying. Both of them are 5/4s. That's probably a little best case scenario, but I mean, it's still pretty good. It doesn't really fit into an existing deck, though. It would be something newer. Hidden Heroes, Hidden Strings, they don't want it, so.
Right.
I mean, I like it.
Yeah, the fact that it grants some kind of evasion makes me like it more.
Right.
But the one that I like the best is coming up. But it's like I put on here, it's almost there. It's so close.
Yeah. Okay. Cloak Siren, just really simple on this, and I'm not skipping it because I really think it's a well-designed card. It is Nephilia Sea Kite if you want to attack instead of block. Pseudo combat trick, pseudo haste. What's not to like? I love 3/2 flyers, and it doesn't cost 5.
Right.
Was amazing because that could have easily cost 5 with the way that they cost commons. So I like it immensely.
Yeah. I cannot wait to play with this particular card. I think it's just great. It goes right alongside people. I've heard people say, well, I guess it replaces Nephilia Sea Kite. I was like, whoa. Why not both?
I think Sea Kite becomes the 2 to 3 in the deck, and the Cloak Siren in most decks becomes
the
1 through 4.
Yeah.
I agree. I just think it's really great. Right. So Countermand is, and I'm not going to talk about every blue card. There's a few I'm going to skip here, but Countermand you have to talk about it. Because it is going to be something that Demiri Mill tries to work in.
They will.
Milling 4 cards is way better than Psychic Strike at the 2. It's easier to cast if you have a bad no black draw. And that's it. No other deck really wants a 4 casting cost counter. Because it's just not... Negate is going to just be better, or Acid Scatter in pretty much every other deck.
Yeah, and I think that if Mill isn't a big deal in the next set, after rotation, this is what Mill is going to, I think, hang its hat on. Like, oh, come on, please, just I can hang on to this sweet Demir Mill dream for just a little bit longer.
Oh, that's a dream. Demir Mill going away.
Yeah, shh, don't spoil it.
Yeah. M15, save us, quick. Okay. Hubris, yes. It's a B for me, on a scale of A through F, but it is blowout town, because return the creature and all the enchantments attached to the creature. I mean, when people are building Voltrons and there's 2 Ethereal Armors and a Hopeful Eidolon on their a Crone Skyguard, and you put that all into their hand on their attack step, I mean, it is going to be a beautiful thing.
Right. And again, in 100% agreement. I think Hubris is the card to destroy Voltron. And some people said, well, why are you putting it back in their hand? They can cast it on something else. I said, sure, if they want to spend all that mana again, I will let them. Because
And I mean,
more than likely, if I'm playing blue, I have a counterspell that I'm saving up for this sort of occasion, and you just got rid of their biggest creature. They're going to have to spend all that mana over turns again. Odds are they're not going to be sitting out there with 12 mana. I can just cast 2 more things. See, even 12 mana. How many bestow things are you going to cast again? Not that many.
Not only that, but it does. Most of the decks that are playing a lot of bestow are under-landed, 22 lands, 20 lands. So they're playing these things over the course of 4 or 5 turns, building Voltron, and it's going to really increase the value of Nullify.
Yeah.
In the format, because you're going to have targets for Nullify, you know it, and you're going to know which turns now you need to leave it open, the 2 blue. So it's just a really great card, and again, very happy that Wizards gave it to common instead of making it an uncommon. Rise of Eagles. We're not going to skip. I really like Rise of Eagles.
Okay.
It is the same casting cost of 2 Nimbus Naiads, produces the exact same effect, Scry 1. I just think it's a finisher for a control-based deck that doesn't exist yet. It could be a one-off in Demiri Mill, but I don't really see them needing to make any dramatic changes.
Right.
But I really enjoy this card. I'm just a blue mage at heart, so it makes me happy. So
now the closest allegory to this card is Talrand's Evocation.
Right.
It was an uncommon at 2 and 2 blue, and that is a bonkers card for 2 and 2 blue. Now, I'm not completely sold on this. 2 tokens, especially with evasion, there's nothing to sneeze at. But that 6 mana, unless, like you said, it's in some sort of super control deck where you're actually going to get to 6 mana at a time in the game where 2/2s can still be effective, you're going to have a lot of control in this aggro intense environment. So it may find a home, but at 6 mana, it's hard to take the sting out of 6 mana.
So what you're telling me is that you're challenging me to break this card. I'm going to try my hardest.
Yeah, you're gonna have to present me a scenario that is consistent enough to warrant 6 mana for 2 2/2 flyers. Not saying it can't be done.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I wish you the best of luck.
Okay. Thassa's Devourer. Talk about it a little bit. It is the one constellation card that I think could possibly become a deck, because it does have that mill repeatable effect. There was the landfall common from or uncommon from Rise of Eldrazi. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Hedron Crab?
Yeah, that's it. The thing about the difference, and that's the closest comparison to Constellation I draw as Landfall, is that you play so many lands and you get that extra benefit. You really have to load up on enchantments to get Constellation to work. And Demiri Mill doesn't run they don't run really any permanent center lands, forget enchantments. So it's not going to work in the Demiri Mill deck. That's not to say it's not going to create a deck of its own, and really I see this is one of the few cards that I think could create a deck.
Hey, were those birds also enchantments?
They are enchantments.
So if that would be
the yard.
Yeah, exactly. 2 come in. That means 4 off the top of the deck.
And if I remember correctly, it's a 3/5 or something like that. It's not a bad creature.
Oh, 2/6. Yeah, no. It's not a negligible presence on the board.
No.
So yeah, something can be done with this one. I
I'm
agree.
not sure where it's going to live yet, but it could find somewhere of its very own to call home. Whirlwind Siren, I think in a deck in like strings or hidden heroes where you want critical massive heroic creatures, I actually think this is a good card for that particular deck.
Yes.
And I like the 1/3. This is a good blue flyer in that it has that nice base defense. It's not just a 2/2. And definitely like just firing one God's Willing at it, making it into a 2/4, or bestowing the Shield Maid onto it the
Right.
next turn. I mean, it
You,
could get bonkers quick.
you know what you do? If you can bestow the Hopeful Eidolon on it,
Yeah.
what angel have you brought back from
Um,
Avacyn?
oh my lord. Yeah, see, that's not a bad little. That card just completely dominated that.
Yeah. Basically, you get what, a 3/5 flying lifelink heroic creature.
Yeah.
I know that's Magic Christmas Land, but it's not that impossible, considering the bestowing of that creature would be on the very next turn if your mana hits right. So on turn 4, you would be attacking with a 3/5 flying lifelinker. Holy
Yes.
crap.
Yeah. And that's not a bad fourth turn play.
No, it's not.
No, it is not at all.
So,
Okay. So that wraps up the color of blue.
alright. Let's look at black. I am not going to talk about Aspect of Gorgon.
I don't blame you.
Blood Crazed Hoplite. Why did they not make more cards like this? This is anti-hero if there ever was one. I mean, it is exactly what you expect black cards to do. It is the only, that I know of, pretty sure it's the only one, black heroic card at common. There's no
And
others.
I think besides the guy that makes everybody sacrifice a creature,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the best black heroic
Oh,
creature. The discard one's okay,
yeah.
but it is just so good.
Right. And it's perfect. And I put on here. I said this is a card. If you want to be a jerk, you use this card. In parentheses, I kind of want to use this card because it's so awesome. I mean, everything that I expect black to do to be an
And
anti-whatever,
I
anti-heroic.
said
It's perfect.
I said that Thassa's Devourer may create a deck. This card is going to create a deck.
Without a doubt. No
It's going to
doubt.
create the white-black heroic deck that has been white-black has just been too slow to keep up, and this is going to kind of change that. Early game aggression, grindy late with the extort triggers. It's going to be a thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yes,
Yeah.
I like this one. Feast of Dreams. I have to say, this card is a dream. It is so awesome in this block, and it will be awesome for a long time to come. It targets enchanted creatures and enchantment creatures. OMG. It's Doomblade for the Pauper crew.
Not only that, but I mean, there's so many like decent. It actually makes Cast in the Darkness not just total trash.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, it's 4 mana to kill the creature, but we're doing that already. I mean, we're playing Grisly Demise and stuff, so
Right. The best use of this that I heard of is bestowing one of your creatures onto one of their creatures. Cast this, kill their creature. Guess what you get?
Wow, I hadn't
Your
even thought about
your
that.
bestowed creature back.
That's actually a thing of beauty. I got teary-eyed just now.
Yeah, you said, oh, but it's 2 cards to kill. Really? You get one of them back on
Yeah,
the battlefield, ready to go.
that's beautiful.
I know. It's awesome. Alright, Font of the Return. Of the fonts, I like this one. A lot of people are super down on it. Like, well, when would I want 3 creatures back? When wouldn't you want 3 creatures back? Here's what I see. I see a Golgari deck. I'm going to try to put together. I'm not really a deck builder. I'm a deck dreamer. They don't usually work out all that great, but with this, okay, Golgari, you're playing all those cards to dig into your deck, throw stuff in the yard, grab enchantments, grab enchantment creatures, grab creatures, all the fodder that you can't grab at the time. This brings back into your hand. No, it doesn't put them on the battlefield, but we're not going to get that at common anymore. But yeah, I don't see a problem with this. Yes, it's 4 mana. I get it. But it's 3 creatures. There's only one other common 3 creature bring back, and that was from forever ago. And it was sorcery. So anyway, I like it.
2 things to add. One is people already playing March of the Returned in the format. Gets you 1 more creature. That's a sorcery though, so it's you can Archaeomancer it back. This combos so well with Aromancer, it's ridiculous. After them taking away Gravedigger and giving us Corpse Hauler, having the ability to get Aromancers back, getting your font back, I mean, that's probably again magical dreamland. But just doing that once in a game, twice in a game, is so much advantage, especially since every creature you get back is another kill spell in your opponent's yard that they're not getting back.
Right.
So it's just, for me, it's the best of the font cycle by far.
Right. Affetto Dredging. That's what the old card was. Affetto Dredging.
That was from Odyssey?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I like getting this back, and I think if you design your deck to be using the yard appropriately, I think you want this. People may
my comment was white-black is already trying to be a deck, and it's lacking powerful effects, and this could help with that. So
yeah, we agree.
Okay.
All right. Nyx Infusion. This is another double duty card. I like it. And the flavor text is oh so delicious. It's an enchanted creature. Gets +2. The enchanted creature gets +2/+2 as long as it is an enchantment. Otherwise, it gets -2/-2. So, if you're playing that some sort of black, white, bestowy kind of deck, or just playing with enchantment creatures, this is awesome. It's still not deadweight, which I have a feeling they'll never bring back. But the -2/-2 in Pauper is not irrelevant. But I realize there are a lot of enchantment creatures.
I mean, that's my one kind of knock against it, is Stab Wound is always Stab Wound. This is Stab Wound 80% of the time, which is still great, and having the ability to pump your own creatures in a color where there's still quite a bit of evasion is quite nice. Just this on like Dagger Drone Imp, actually that kills it. This on like Belful Eidolon is quite saucy. Now the other part about it, I'm trying to think. I had one more point to make. No, I think it's just kind of a solid card. I liked the 2 really good modular enchantments that they made. This and the Armament of Nyx were just really well designed cards. So
yeah, I like it. I think it'll see play.
Oh yeah, it's Curse of Chains, or no, it's the white enchantment that if it's a human +2/+2, if it's not, it can't block.
Oh yeah, Bonds of Faith.
Yeah, Bonds of Faith.
Okay, yeah.
So excellent.
Now on to red.
Red. Okay. So Blade Tusk Boar, I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna say it's been printed 3 more times than Counterspell in Modern.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me want to cry. Skipping Flame Speaker's Will because
so
it's
awful.
so horrible.
Oh my god.
Why does Wizard keep wanting to Flurry of Horns?
Flurry of Horns, yes.
Good card. This is the red version of Rise of Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
I consider this to be more pseudo burn, just because of the haste clause. Very happy that there's no sacrifice at end of turn.
Yes, that right there. Yeah, that no sacrifice clause being taken off, that puts it over the top for me.
Yeah, it's really nice that they decided not to do that. And I think it's very well costed. I mean, it's 5 casting cost for 4 power and 6 toughness.
Yeah, I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully for more like 5 cents or something.
Oh yeah.
To
I didn't mean I was going to pay $1 for a common.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you, I'm not a sucker, people.
I mean, we could go buy brainstorms for $1. No.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I like this card. I will play this card. This to me is a fixed version of the giant baiting. I like
Giant
this.
baby.
Yeah, it's a sorcery. Convoke. You put a 4/4 giant with haste, sack at the end of turn. But you can
the green one.
Right, the green one. But you can make 2 if you. It's not convoke. It's conspire. I think conspire. Anyway, you can put 2 out there in some form or manner, or you just put 1, and you can populate whatever you want to do. But it's the green red one, the multicolor mana.
The
2,
green.
Yeah, 2 and 2 and a red green, like a what do you call that? Split mana.
Hybrid.
Hybrid. That's it.
That's from like Lorwyn Blocker, one of those.
Yep.
Okay, I was out of Magic at that time, but I've kind of looked it all over, and it's all just crazy to me.
I like those. I love those crazy cards. All right.
Fond of Ire. I will talk about this a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, 5 to the Dome is always going to be good. This costs 6 mana, so 1 more mana than Lava Axe, which is in the format and not seeing any play. But I still think, because I've tried to design or build just a straight burn deck, and it really needed like 2 more burn spells, and this could fill that gap. So, it's no Soul of Fire, but it's still a burn spell in a format lacking damage to the dome.
Right. I wish it was Seal of Fire, just like you said. But here's my take on this one. A lot of people don't like it because it is really over. It's a huge cost. But let's say you're up against the dreaded Demir Mill. If you could get these out early,
oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought about that.
they could just be sitting there till
That's so much better than Razor Tip Whip.
Yeah, exactly. And guess what can't be countered? The sacrifice effect.
Can't.
Nope.
Yeah.
Once it's out there, they're taking 5. I don't care how many counter spells they have.
And it costs 2, so you can really sneak a few of them into play while they're developing whatever they're doing over there.
In the best case scenario, you could, and that's half their life. But
yes, they're not
way better than Razor Tip Whip.
They're not countering an enchantment before 3 mana because they can only do it with Psychic Strike, unless again Nullify becomes a thing. So.
Yep.
Skipping Gluttonous Zombie.
Oh yeah, so terrible. And
I'm gonna talk about Lightning Diadem though.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now I know Brennan only wanted to talk about the good cards. But to me, this is by far the worst design card in the set, and I have to talk about it for a second. There are so many modular cards in this set having 2 effects, doing 2 things for 1 mana cost. And this card just feels heart-crushing because at 5 mana it's playable, at 4 mana it's great, at 6 mana play Shock for 1 mana, play Fearsome Temper, Lightning Talons, Madcap skills. Just play the effects separately. It's not as effective, but this card just breaks my heart because I saw it. I was like, all the parts of that are great, but somehow the card is just garbage.
Right. It doesn't even give flying or anything.
Yeah.
Nothing. +2,
No.
+2. Oh, okay. I'll pay a couple mana for that, maybe. An extra 2 damage. I'll attack another mana on it, but 6 mana.
Yeah.
This is horrible.
Yeah. I just don't understand why it was that much when I can shock you and cast Madcap skills on my Pensive Minotaur for 3 mana, and then it can't be blocked for less than 2 creatures. I mean, just the effect is so much better on the individual cards. And people are always drawn to the cards that do multiple things, grant flying and lifelink and so on. But I think trying to make that card work is just going to be a trap. So
I agree. Bad
Magma
card
Spray?
is bad. Magma Spray. Yeah.
I like it. It's a reprint. It's one of the few reprints in the set, actually. It's better than Mugging, worse than Shock. Shock, of course, is domable. My one thing about this is Wizards knowing it could only hit creatures. Why did they didn't make it 3 damage instead of 2 damage?
Yeah, basically that would.
It would just make it more effective.
Yeah, it would be more effective, but for whatever reason, the common exile, they ever put more than 2 damage on a common red exile spell?
No, the only one I can think of that even does 3 damage at common, besides Lightning Bolt and the Kamigawa block sorcery version.
Oh, yeah,
but no exiles.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
they really go out of their way to lower that chance. It's kind of weird. I have 4 of these, and I'm sure they'll all be put in play from previous sets. But it's just strange to me why that 2 damage and exile is kind of a sweet spot for them. I
will say, in this set, it is better as a combat trick than probably the previous set it was printed in.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because you can. Yeah, if you can just get that last 2 damage, if whatever dies forever.
Yeah. And in this set, exiling creatures is actually a little bit better than most. But yeah, I mean, pretty decent. I mean, removal is always good. I mean, people were playing Lash of the Whip when Theros was just out, and that thing costs 5 to give -4/-4, and so clunky, very clunky. So Rouse the Mob. I actually like this effect. I like it specifically for like a red-white aggro heroic deck. I wish it was First Strike and not Trample.
What's funny is the fact that it is Trample is what makes me like it, because the chance to do damage to the player increases dramatically, giving it the Trample. However, it's still very expensive for this effect. But yeah, this is, I guess, for different reasons. But I like this card. I think for me, it's the Trample. Just like the flying was close, but you're right. Most of the things are gonna already have flying that are gonna be in a deck that'll use that. But this can make just about any creature a threat to the player, not just to their board.
Another thing about this one, I believe it's the only one that gives +2/+0.
Oh,
meaning
yeah.
You target 2 Recurrent Skyguards, that's +3/+1, and trample through the air. I mean,
that's nice.
That's not bad. I mean, for 4 mana.
Right. And they've been so stingy with granting trample in this entire block. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Satyr Hoplite. This is going to fight the 0/4 white guy for dominance. This, I think, takes a little less setup to make an aggressive creature. I think it finds a home in Boros aggro before Trailblazer by far. It's just more straightforward. It takes less kind of, hey, what do I have to do? What's my cost? How many cards am I going to have to sink in? This guy has a 3/3. Is totally respectable for 1 mana. And it is going to be paired up with colors that have lots of targeted effects.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not saying it's going to be the best card in the set, but it's nice because there's not a ton of playable 1 casting cost spells.
Yeah, and what I see is this and that Lagana Band creature as your 8/1 drops. And then you go and then you go into your 2. So you've got your bases covered. So you have a super aggressive and a defensive / will soon be super aggressive, hard to deal with card, and then you just fill out the rest of your curve with whatever you need. So that's the way I see a Boros deck shaping up, and I like this one way more than a Crowan Crusader, and I really liked a Crowan Crusader.
And one thing about the way I see the Trailblazer, the white one, is in comparison is this is your early game threat, and that is your threat that you can scale up. This guy is not going to make it to the late game. He's going to outplay his usefulness. You're going to stop targeting him because you've played in a Crowan Skyguard or a Wingsing Rider or something to that effect, and it's just going to end up getting outclassed, but it's still going to get in there for 5-7 points of damage if your opponent's sturdily, and that is amazing.
That's
amazing
good stuff.
Yeah, so Sigil Skink. I like the effect. It is better even if you just get to scry 1. Scry 1 for 2 mana, not bad. And on being a 2/1 for 2, I mean, people used to play Goblin Piker.
Right.
And Sly, and this has that extra effect. And Red actually really likes having Scry. It's really useful. It's a shame to see this effect shift away from blue, just as a blue mage. So.
I'm not a fan simply due to that 1 toughness. If he had 2 toughness, I would like this a lot more. It's not a bad card. I just feel he's gonna die so quickly. I mean, is it worth the potential scry and the target on its back to prevent that? Because what I see this is they're going to be afraid of it, just like they were afraid of the Scholar, the one that intimidates Scholar guy.
Yeah.
In red. Yes, I actually do play Magic. I promise. Just terrible with names, but yeah, this is going to have a target. So you could kind of think of it as I could possibly get Scry, and it could eat a spell off something bigger.
Right.
But why not just play something bigger? I don't know. I'm not sold on it. I'm not totally dismissing it, but that 1 toughness, it's hard to stomach.
It is, but in a set where there's a lot of effects that increase toughness, Bestow being the biggest one, of course. I think it is a creature that could carry some pants. And you wouldn't really mind that because you get the pants back when it dies. So
that's true.
So yeah, I think it doesn't have a home per se, but I think Red Sly could be a thing.
Right.
Because Red has gotten just enough on curve good creatures. So.
Okay.
Starfall. Again, modular spell. 2 different halves. I really like it for that fact. The enchantment creature part of it in this particular set is less tough to come by. The fact that it goes to the dome in that situation is great. 5 mana for 6 damage seems like the math was off in the design of that, and that's to compensate for the needing to be enchanted or needing to be an enchantment creature. But I will pay 5 mana in a pinch to kill a Syndic of Tides. I will. I mean, and that's just kind of how I feel about it. I probably wouldn't play more than like 2 to 3 in a deck, but I would definitely play it. Just a pure effectiveness. So
I would rather spend the 4 mana and pay Chandra's Outrage.
now, I've never really seen Outrage being that super. God, it's such a close comparison, isn't it?
Yes.
Just that one extra point of damage.
Right. And you're always guaranteed to do damage to the controller. Always. Whereas this is a conditional damage to the controller.
You're probably right. This probably loses to Outrage in card selection almost every time.
Yeah, and I wouldn't. And if I'm already putting 3 of something that high costed, I'd choose Outrage.
Yeah, you're probably right on that one. But still, I mean, I love effective cards, and that's an effective card.
Yeah, in limited, this will get picked.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Goodbye,
Okay.
Red.
Bye, Red. Font of Fertility. Okay. Font of Fertility. It is extremely slow ramp. The only reason I'm going to mention this particular font is I'm hoping this is not the direction ramp is going. Please, don't make this a thing. So,
My thing on it is, what are we ramping to in this particular block for green? I tried building a big creature deck, and it just doesn't work. There's just not much to do with a lot of mana on the board unless you're bestowing, and I can't see a deck based around bestow wanting a font of fertility.
no, because you're tying up a lot of early game in this font.
I mean, not only that, but it doesn't do any damage, and almost every card in a deck based around heroic is damage dealing cards. So
I agree. Fonts are a cool idea, but you already had seals, and they were okay.
yeah.
All right. Gold Hind. This is a mana dork. Mana dorks get used. I would like to point out that Elvish Mystic, Axeman Guardian, and Zurtad Druid are all rotating out in October. Welcome to your new mana dork overlord.
Voiding Satyr will be installed, and I would have to guess there is going to be some mana dork in M15.
I hope so.
I doubt there will be a mana search spell or a land search spell, though. I think that's why font got printed,
And that worries me.
which is heartbreaking. But I like the Hind 2-1 in the early game, extra mana in the late game. Just nicely balanced. It's not a great card, but it's definitely a good balance.
Yeah, it'll see play.
Yeah.
Humbler of Mortals. I know you don't like this card, but the fact that this one says whenever it enters the battlefield under your control or another enchantment, creatures you control gain trample. Not target, all of them. And if I was to make a Pauper based Crater Hoof Behemoth deck, this is my Crater Hoof Behemoth. Because if you could somehow dump everything out, pull this guy, I don't know, out of the yard somehow, your guys are getting in. Everybody who's already out there is getting in for trample, and I think something can be made with this guy. Now, I could be living in Magic Christmas land, but the fact that it gives everybody trample is what intrigues me most about this.
All right. So my two counterpoints. One, how many creatures do you have to have on the board to make it worth paying 6 to get that effect?
A 1 monstrous Nessian Asp?
Okay, but that's ahead of Humbler.
Right.
That's costed after Humbler. You're doing that. You're humbling after you've already made your Nespian Ass gigantic, and that's a great card without a lot of shenanigans.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if you're dorking out and playing the 3/2 guy, can't remember his name off at the top of my head, and you have 3 of them in play, turn 6, you're probably winning that game a lot of the time if your dudes aren't off the table in the yard.
Yeah.
And that's my problem with this is that more than likely you're tapping out turn 6 to drop this for a minimal effect, and with the format like it is right now, this could be your only guy on the table on turn 6, and then you're just yucky.
Yeah, then nobody has trample.
Like 2 life.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
yeah,
and then that's just too little, too late.
I think the only way to take advantage of him probably doesn't exist in standard Pauper.
No.
At the moment.
No, not yet. Maybe more hexproof in M15. That would be the way.
Interesting.
And I hope that doesn't happen. So.
All right, Crewfix Insight. You're really gonna have to work to make this card pay out for you. But I think if you build around it, and it will probably take building around it, but I think it's all right.
I think you absolutely have to build around it.
Yep.
I love drawing 6 for 3 mana. I love drawing 6 and discarding 3 for 3 mana. Because the dig is so deep.
Right. It's a tenth of your deck.
I like drawing 6 and maybe keeping a couple and discarding the rest.
Especially with with the font of the return. Exactly.
The problem with it is the mechanic it best works with in standard Pauper is scavenge, and only like 3 of the scavenge cards are decent, and they're not. I don't think they're a deck. I tried my hardest to make them into a deck for standard Pauper, the Gauntlet, and I just could not pull it together. I just couldn't. They cost too much on their own, and then they cost too much to scavenge.
Yeah.
Sewer Scrambler he's the best of the bunch. But I think from the preview card from M15, the common that they spoiled, the black guy where he comes into play, you put 3 cards into your graveyard.
Right.
They like to give away something in their preview cards, and that makes me think that they're going to do some sort of enchantment or graveyard theme.
Yeah, I agree.
I hope they don't make Flashback evergreen. I'm a little afraid of that, where it could just be in every basic set, but that just has like Flashback Enabler written all over it. And if this type of shenanigans happen, this is going to be a great engine for that, because you could purposely design your deck to whiff all 6. I mean, just
true.
No enchantments, all 6 into the yard, and now I have a yard full of goodies. So
could be cool.
Yeah. But I like it. I mean, there's something there, and it's just going to take a little work to make it fun. So.
Right. Nature's Panoply. This is a Strive card. I like the fact that the result is permanent because you get counters, but it is really expensive. It's more than a travel prep, and that's what I equate it to.
I like that it works well. It works better in its own color than some of the other Strive cards. with just the cards in color, the Ferris Band guys in particular, because they all gain +2. They all gain 2 counters when they're targeted, and that makes it maybe a little better. But 4 mana to get +3/+3 permanently. When I say that out loud, it just sounds good. It just sounds good. Now, even if you're playing the Setessan Oathsworns, the guys that start out with 1/1, that's 6 mana to get those 2 on the board, plus another 4, 10 mana to produce 2 4/4 creatures.
That's a lot of mana.
You're dead.
Yeah, exactly.
You're dead. You're dead against mono black control, devotion. You're dead. You're not dead against Demiri Mill, but your dudes are dead. You're dead against any of the heroic aggro decks. It just sounds so good. +3/+3. It just sounds so good. So okay.
Oh well. Close.
Yeah.
Oakheart Dryads. I wasn't really going to talk about them. I don't think they're good at all.
I will just a little bit. They remind me a lot of Ivy Lane Denizen, even though it is a temporary 1/1 counter instead of being a permanent 1/1 counter. And I think these in a deck like Stubborn Heroes could lead to maybe a little more reach for that type of deck. I've been playing, for whatever reason, in the videos I've been making against that deck a lot. And if it gets a shaky start, or if you get it to like turn 7, it has no late game. And this has the potential of making bad early game enchantments into better late game draws. So, and a 2/3 to start out isn't horrible. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go out to try to make it into a card, but I could see it feeling like a void that Stubborn Heroes seems to have hit on. Like, it was getting really good results, and now it's like a deck that everybody has figured out how to beat. So.
Right. Okay, Fairies Band Thunderhoof is going to compete directly with Nessian Asp and Snake of the Golden Grove. +2 1/1 counters is not. It's not nothing, but you gotta think something that you can always monstrous versus this, where you're going to have to make sure that after you have 5 mana, you have enough things to counter it with. For me, it's gonna be a tough. It's a good card, but it's gonna be tough to make those 2 decisions.
I just think the 2/2 for 4 version is probably better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's got weaker starting stats, but I mean, it's a 4/4 after 1 target, comes down a turn earlier, or you play it on the same turn with God's Welling Up or Ranger's Guile or something like that to protect it. I will say, like, this with any common level of bestow creature is going to be just bonkers.
It will be. It'll be huge.
Here. Absolutely.
You're on the channel. Go ahead and click subscribe. Twitter @MagicGathStrat. Twitch. We don't really use Twitch too much. Maybe in the future. Facebook /MagicGatheringStrat. Please subscribe. Click like. It makes us feel good about ourselves. Alright, that's the end of this particular set review. That's the end of this show. Just want to mention that next week's show, Sam's going to be back, and we're going to be talking about some deck improvements that we think can be made, and also talk about some new brews that we have. Maybe you guys can take these brews, run with them, whatever you want to do.
It's always nice when a new set comes out because you can make tweaks and then you can try to build up something new. I think that there's a couple really potentially base cards here, so
I agree. I'm already looking for a Golgari deck that I'm going to be building.
I think White Black Heroes is going to come out swinging.
Sounds awesome.
Yep.
Thanks for watching. I'm Brennan.
I'm Vault Boy Hunter Sam.
And have a good day.